Welcome to Proclaiming Justice, a podcast from PJTN that focuses the light of truth on vital issues in today's headlines that impact every American. I'm your host, Laurie Cardoza Moore, founder and president of Proclaiming Justice to the Nations, and I'm here to educate, motivate, and activate you to action. I want to arm you with the truth and the facts you'll need to fight and preserve our constitutional republic and uphold the Judeo-Christian values our nation was founded upon. Welcome to Proclaiming Justice, a PJTN podcast where we shine the light of biblical truth on vital issues from today's headlines that impact every American, Jew and Christian, people of faith and people of conscience. I'm your host, Laurie Cardoza Moore. If you missed the last episode of this podcast, you will find it and our previous podcast lineup on our website at pjtn.org, as well as all the other platforms that you use to access your favorite podcasts. On this week's podcast, I have invited the director of Ohio School Board Constitutional Coalition, Jeremiah Sawyer, on the Proclaiming Justice podcast. OSBCC provides campaign support, relevant training, and opportunities for networking and sharing best practices with past, present, and future school board members in Ohio. I also want to remind you that it is important for you to listen and share this and all of our previous podcasts with your family and friends so that they can become more informed about this and other related issues that threaten our republic and the state of Israel. So please remember to like and share. Jeremiah, thank you so much for joining us on Proclaiming Justice to discuss this important topic of education and school board and what you all are doing. So let's begin with an introduction to you and a little bit of your background. Tell our audience who you are and why you started OSBCC.
Thanks, Laura. It's great to be on your podcast here. Jeremiah Sawyer. And back in 2021, well, it started in 2020 with COVID and all the lockdowns of the schools and our kids being remote with education and really losing a year of their education. It put a lot of stress on our kids. Drug and alcohol abuse went up, learning went down, and our kids weren't in school. And I went to a lot of school board meetings and spoke to try to get our kids back in school. And I noticed that the school board members weren't listening to the parents. So not only were our kids getting damaged, we had leaders making poor decisions for the children. So I decided to run for school board, and I won in 2021. And then when I was looking for support on how to make things happen to change the culture in the school boards and in the schools, I realized there was no support system for people with Judeo-Christian values or conservative values that wanted to get back to the basics on education and create an academics first environment. So that's really what started OSBCC. I found 7 people that were like-minded, and we started sharing ideas. And really from there, it took off over the next 6 months to a year, where we found over 100 school board members across Ohio. And about 250 parent groups across Ohio to really just support each other and give each other ideas on how to make an impact in the school board meetings and to support parents and to support our children in education. That's really how it got started.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because you talked about how parents were being silenced during these school board meetings. And we have seen over the last couple of years, video after video in school district after school district, where parents got up and spoke to challenge the status quo, to challenge the indoctrination going on in our children's classrooms, to challenge the mass and the whole COVID vaccines and what they were doing during that time, forcing our children home, not taking them, not opening up the schools and letting our children come back into the classroom to try to establish some type of normalcy in their lives during a very crazy and chaotic couple of years. So tell me what you personally experienced share with our audience an example of what you personally saw taking place that caused you to want to run, because this is important, ladies and gentlemen. This gentleman was just going, living his life, raising his family, and he saw the depravity of the school system and decided he was going to change it by putting himself in the middle of it. So, Jeremiah, give us an example. Share with us, an experience that you had or someone else had that really was the deciding factor for you to throw your hat in and say, "I'm running. I'm in."
Yeah, it was really, there was probably over 100 parents and students speaking out in my local school board meeting to get the kids back in school. We knew how bad it was affecting both the mental health and the education of our own children and our friends' children in our community. And so we had probably 4 hours of testimony from parents, from doctors, from nurses, all people that were professionals in our community. Myself, I spoke. And when I saw the blank looks on the faces of the school board meetings, none of whom had children in school, none of them had children in school, and they didn't even respond. They just stared at you blankly. At least they let us talk, but they didn't listen. I knew that we had to get in there and become a decision maker. Like the light bulb turned on when I saw that they weren't going to change. Nothing was going to stop them to change. We had to go in there and take over to get them to change. And so myself and Lisa Shuck, another parent in North Royalton, we both decided to run, and we ran together, and then we won. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg of what's going on in the schools. That opened the doorway and showed me the light. Once I got in, I didn't realize all the other stuff going on with the over-sexualization, the hyper-sexualization of our kids, the pornography in the libraries, all the gender issues, the boys in the girls' bathrooms, the boys in the girls' sports. But then I really was like, wow. And most of the school boards are letting this stuff happen when parents are speaking up. And so that's like why our big push is for 2023. So we started this grassroots organization in 2021 and 2022. Now in 2023, we really want to start getting more school board members on board, parents to run, to make a difference in their community, and then make a difference across the state to start. You have one or two to shed the light on what's going on. Then you need to get 3 to 4 to be able to actually change the policies and change the minds, because then you're the decision makers. And then you actually have the power on the board to overturn policies and to overturn bad management decisions by administration. So that's really like what 2023 is to get new members elected. And that's what OSBCC.org is. We're really pushing, is to get people to run, to either become that 1 or 2 beacon of light, or become that 3 or 4 and actually making decisions to implement policies to change this stuff permanently going forward.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You're doing an amazing work. And, when Merrick Garland made that statement, or I should correct myself, it wasn't Merrick Garland. He was trying to defend her position. But when Randy Weingarten made the statement about investigating parents and labeling parents who are attending these school board meetings, speaking out as domestic terrorists, what were your thoughts when you heard that? Because you were obviously in the thick of starting this organization and running at the time. Did it cause you pause? Did you pause and think, what is the matter with these people? This is my government, and they're labeling myself and other parents and citizens who speak up as domestic terrorists. What were your thoughts when you first heard that?
Well, it's funny. It's kind of ironic because there are two thoughts. First, I thought it was disgusting and almost criminal. Like, because we're the taxpayers. It's our kids who are the customers. We're the customers of the public education system. We're paying for it, and it's our kids that are in the system. But then at that point, I had also won. So I was already a parent who was on the school board, and I was thinking to myself, well, you're a little too late, because now I don't have to just talk to the school board. I am the school board. And now I'm going to change it from the inside out. So in a way, I was kind of smiling to myself, because I was thinking, well, you're a little too late because I already won. But there's all those other parents out there that didn't run, are still really frustrated. So that's what's so important, is to get them to take that next step. Have they felt enough pain in their community to put themselves on a limb and run for school board? Because it's tough. You know, you have to have a lot of thick skin, and you have to have a lot of courage and a lot of faith to stand up to these things. Because the whole system is rigged from the inside out, because all the tax dollars go to all these left-wing groups that then support the whole left-wing agenda. So if you're coming in there with a different perspective, everybody's against you, because they're all a part of this big system of money. It's a big government system of billions of dollars that just keeps feeding itself. So they keep growing, and it helps itself. And not enough people have stood up yet to really start to change the tide with the whole system, which is really why I started OSBCC too, is to have that a voice of common sense and of parents and with moral conviction to stand up for what's right, even when everybody else is saying something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Jeremiah, you are my hero. So proud of what you're doing. So proud of the community in Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a dad who was concerned about his education, and he decided he was going to throw his hat in the ring. He was going to run to get elected. He got elected, thank God. There are many parents and citizens who don't have the opportunity, you know, to win the race. The odds are stacked against them, but we want to encourage people to come back. And, you know, for our audience, we have this event coming up on April 30th. Jeremiah and the OSBCC is going to be one of the main groups, one of the main organizations that's going to be presenting, and they're going to give you the tools that you need in order to flip your school board. So, Jeremiah, share with our audience a little bit about what they can expect at our summit, our Taking Back America's Children Summit on April 30th in Hudson, Ohio.
Sure, Laurie. One thing, though, back on what you said, I am just a dad, and I was very frustrated with what was going on. And I'm the last person that would run for a political office, even though I enjoy engaging in political debate and thought. But I'm a father of four. My oldest son's in medical school. My middle son is graduating from college this year. My youngest son is graduating from high school this year. And my daughter, my youngest, is a freshman in high school. And I'm an engineer with an MBA, and I've run businesses, and I'm more of a business person. I've been treasurer for my wife's business for a while, and I'm manager for Steris Corporation. And it's like, you wouldn't have expected. A lot of people say, wow, I didn't expect you to run for school board. But I just saw so much stuff going on that I knew I had to. I couldn't just sit by and let it happen.
Yeah, this is the responsibility of we the people. We have our government on the local, state, and federal level because we the people were either not involved or we've been somewhat involved. And your story, Jeremiah, your testimony is an encouragement to other parents and other citizens who think that they can't do it. This is our country.
How can you make a difference at a local level? Well, the number one thing you could do is run for school board and win your position for school board. Then from there, you really need a support system, and that's where OSBCC also comes in. We want to help get you elected, and the board of OSBCC is made up of 7 people that helped found the organization, and they're all school board members that won in their communities. A couple of them are 10-year veterans, and a couple of them are new winners in 2021, like myself. So like we're the support system of this, and we're like coaches for anybody. If you need some one-on-one coaching or some team coaching, because the veterans have been through it, and then the new people maybe have a similar perspective, but now we've got some tools to help. So we have a bunch of tools to help new people get elected. We've got a candidate checklist. We've got a pledge. We've got our membership email list, which you can sign up for on osbcc.org, and then you click on the membership tab. You'll fill out just a simple thing. You'll click on the pledge, and then you get on our email list. and then we'll send you a training video. It's a 1-hour training video, and we'll send you the checklist, and then you're on our email list. And that's kind of like an abridged version of it. And then we're going to roll out here on April 19th, a 5-part series over 10 weeks. Every other week, we're going to do a live training session on Zoom and take you through what do you need to do to run for school board, give you like tips on social media. We've got a starter kit where we have like sample yard signs, sample postcards, sample literature that you can send out, a website with a template you can use. So we have all these tools that all of us have used to win our elections. And so we're going to talk about this stuff both at the summit and in this training we're going to start kicking off for the new candidates. And then once you win, well, what are some sample policies I can implement to help make changes? Like we tried to address in Ohio, we have OHSAA, which is the governing body for athletics, and their bylaws allow biological boys to compete against biological girls. So we've had several letters and resolutions that we've sent out to members where they can use those as tools to debate that issue on their school board and put pressure both on OHSAA and our legislators to change either the law or the bylaws of OHSAA on that issue. We've done some templates on auditing the libraries for pornography, like some red flag books and how do you do a records request.
Fantastic.
To the treasurer. Yes, like there's a lot. So that's like stuff. So then once you get elected, okay, what are different tools you can use to help stop that indoctrination going on and get back to education, get back to the basics of what made America such a great country was the sound education system and the top level education.
Right.
But Ohio itself, we were the top 5 public school systems in the country. We're now down to 33rd in various rankings from like U.S. World and News Report.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. We've also gone to 33rd in the ACT, which is the primary test used to go to college. So now Ohio has just really dropped off in the quality of education we're giving our children from the public schools. So we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff at the summit. How to run once you get elected, how we'll help support you. You can meet the team. A lot of us are going to be there for the presentation.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic. And this is what we need to hear. And this is why we are encouraging you, our audience, to join us in Hudson, Ohio. You don't have to be from Ohio to attend this summit. You can be from one of the surrounding states. We've had people come in from Texas and Florida to our past events. So you can fly in, you can drive in and participate this because really, Jeremiah, it's basically tools that people can use in their school districts if they are going to run.
Yep. School. And it's really interesting because communities are different. So you can't just take a cookie cutter thing and say, hey, I'm going to do just this. You got to be strategic, and you can talk to any of us or any of the people in our group. Hey, well, here's what my community is like. Here's what I'm dealing with. Because you might want to run as a slate card with, like I did. I ran with another person. We ran together, Lisa and I. You might want to run by yourself. Because the vote could be watered down with multiple candidates. So there's a lot of those things that you talk through it, but you have to have a plan. And you have to be organized, and you have to be aggressive out there marketing your name and getting involved with the various groups.
More importantly, you need support. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't run by yourself. You've got to have a support team behind you, and that's what OSBCC is going to provide. So in closing, Jeremiah, as we're wrapping this up, just share a couple final comments. What would you like to share with our audience? How can people find you?
A couple other things that we're doing that are really exciting for candidates is we're working with some PACs in Ohio to help them raise money. So we'll put you in connection with these PACs. There's Save Our Schools, which is a Renaissance PAC, and then there's the 1776 Project, which is a national PAC. And they're all doing things to help candidates raise money. So we can help get your name to them and back you through those to get money for your campaign. We're also working with central committees across Ohio to try to get, if it makes sense for you in your community, to work with them, like when I ran, I was on the slate card for my Central Committee for Cuyahoga County. And so it went out to on all the postcards. And then we're also working with a lot of liberty groups in Ohio. There's Ohio Fan, which is a liberty across the state that's helping to connect all these different groups to share best practices. But we're trying to have all these partnerships to give more tools to all the candidates, both while they're running and then once they get elected, to give them all those tools. And the best way to get a hold of me is through the OSBCC.org website. There's a contact tab, and you can send an email to our group at osbcc.gmail.com. And then there's also that membership tab that I mentioned where you put your email, your school district, if you're running or if you're a citizen and a parent, and then sign the pledge. And then you're on with the group and everything we're doing to fight back and take our schools back in 2023.
Fantastic. Absolutely. I'm inspired just listening to you, Jeremiah. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found this program informative. We will post this podcast on our website and all of our podcast platforms so that you can share with your family and friends. And again, if you want to register to attend the Taking Back America's Children's Summit in Hudson, Ohio, April 30th, visit our website at pjtn.org. Additionally, if you would like to get a copy of the white paper PJTN has published for Governor DeSantis in the state of Florida, so you can see some of the content that even Florida is having to deal with, please visit our website at pjtn.org. Go to the Get Involved tab at the top of the page and click on it and scroll down to the bottom of the page and look for white paper. Please share this information with family and friends. Remember, even though this white paper exposes anti-Semitic content in Florida textbooks, these textbooks are being used across the U.S. As PJTN Watchmen, we have a biblical mandate to stand against the ungodly rising Marxist threat that is destroying this nation and our Western nations, threatening our Judeo-Christian values and promoting anti-Semitism. We cannot remain silent, ladies and gentlemen. God warned the prophet Ezekiel about the responsibility of the watchman. And as watchmen, you can sound the alarm and warn others by simply sharing this podcast with your family and friends. So please share and like and help sound the alarm in your community. Dietrich Bonhoeffer reminded us, silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. Don't forget to join us for next week's podcast as we continue this conversation about combating the rise of anti-Semitism and taking back local control of our communities and our children's education. I also want to remind you that if you have not signed up to become a watchman at PJTN, you can help support this mission through our award-winning documentaries and Focus on Israel programs, as well as more programs like this for just $20 a month. So go to our website at pjtn.org to watch our programs and listen to our past podcasts. With your generous monthly donation, you can ensure that PJTN remains on the front lines and in the headlines, but we can't do it without your faithful prayers and financial support. I hope that you will prayerfully consider supporting our mission as we educate to activate Jews, Christians, and all people of conscience to stand on the front lines of this all-encompassing war. God bless you, and thank you for all you do on behalf of our Jewish brethren, the State of Israel, and these United States. Thank you again for joining me on this edition of Proclaiming Justice. Please share this podcast with your family and friends. For more information about how you can get involved, please visit our website at pjtn.org. As a PJTN Watchman, you can help us keep up the fight to preserve our freedom for our children and their children for such a time as this.